Hey, it's Heather at Adventures in Gardening, and today we're going to be taking a fall greenhouse tour, and I'm going to show you some things that I do for season extending this time of year, some experimental things as well. And if you're like, oh man, I don't have a greenhouse, so I can't do those things, well, you're wrong. You can do them because I did them in many different ways over the years. It's just a lot easier now with the greenhouse, but I have made cold frames out of windows and plywood, and I have made hoop houses out of painter's plastic and PVC piping. So if there is a will, there is a way, and you can do these things. But I'm going to walk you through what I've got going on right now, give you a little tour of the greenhouse, and tell you about some of the things that are coming up that I am planning for, and I'll be pointing out the things that really are experimental this year, and we'll see how those go. So we are in Connecticut Zone 6, and the weather is definitely changing. Our first frost could come at any time. Our nighttime temps are now in the 30s and 40s, high 30s. We have not had a freeze yet, but here my arch is still barely hanging on. I think in the next couple of nights we're going to see some major changes in how things look. With that said, my greenhouse acts as a large cold frame, and we're going swimming. Will I be applying some heat this year? I may be applying just a little bit, and I'm going to show you why I'm going to say that, because normally I only do it in the spring when the tomatoes go in. But for the most part, if we have a sunny day, I keep these doors open because it gets really, really hot when the sun is out, and I'm thankful for that. The flooring material, I think, helps with radiant heat and holding some of the heat through the nighttime. But the experimental part this year are the tomatoes being in here right now, because this is just cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs on how well these tomatoes are doing. These are the tomatoes that I have had in here since the since early summer. I've had them in here, and it is a fantastic large tomato producer. The tomatoes are still like, at this point, they're still tasting like summer tomatoes to me. And there's little Miss Piper in her princess bed. But you know I'm hoping I can have tomatoes through Christmas from this greenhouse. We shall see how things go. So I have 6 of these early wonder in here, and they are getting very tall. I should have tomato cages on them, but I don't. And we still have tomatoes forming. Should I cut the tops off and just say forget it? I might, because I'm not really sure how far into the season I'm actually going to be able to keep going. And it's not because of the heat, it's actually because of the sun and how the sun dips down in this time of year, and plus we have reduced sunshine. So on the top shelf here I have Alaskan Fancy, which these are not spring tomatoes. I actually started these in August, and so these are my first tomatoes on the plants right there. And I believe I have 7 of these all together. And then I also have some of these Red Robin, which are cherry tomatoes, and it's a determinate variety. I do not believe I have any cherry tomatoes formed yet, so this was also a later crop that I'm like, you know what, I'm just going to experiment. And I really like to push the buck and try to experiment with things and see how far into the season I can go with things. And some of them are touching the ceiling. I'll move them around for sure. So the things that are not experimental, that yes, you can totally do in a cold frame or in a little hoop house that you make, are some of these other things. Like this is sanguine lettuce right here. The lettuce is looking fantastic. Just beautiful. And then I have some that I started a lot later. This is Marvel of Four Seasons, and they were a little smaller. If you're going to do something like this and you are in, you know, a comparable zone to me, don't hesitate, don't delay. Start right away with sowing some seeds and getting them up and established, because if the cold weather moves in, most likely these things are just going to like just stay right where they are, and then they'll start growing again when the days start to get a little longer in the spring. I normally use this greenhouse. These are cabbages down here. I normally use this greenhouse this time of year. I will do some cole crops like this in the window boxes, but I never have all these tomatoes and peppers in here and have it as full as I do right now. I use it as a storage, so for like house plants and whatnot. So this part is experimental to see how far in the season I can go with the hot crops mixed in with the cole crops. So the peppers that I have going on, this is Mira pepper. I've been growing them in these pots the entire season. They are an excellent container pepper. It's more like a bell pepper. So they just came in here. They're going to perk up a little bit now that they're going to be in a more protected climate. So they do get a little bit of an orange to them. The leaves are looking a little raggy. We've had some really cool nights, but I think that they're going to perk up just fine. There's one right there. So they look great. And then there's more of these Alaskan fancy tomatoes. It's a very, very uniform, round tomato. I love growing this one. I'm hoping that they will ripen up in here, or get to full size and ripen up. Now my dog is a wet mess. Annabelle. Annabelle. And this one right here is early flame jalapeno that has been growing in this pot the entire year. So I'm just trying to just protect them, get them to last a little longer. You know, with the holidays coming our way, before you know it, it's nice to have something a little special to be able to, you know, serve to guests and family. The rooting board right here, that is actually the, I made this. It's actually the original threshold to my house, my front door. And it has the person's stamp on it right there. And then I just put those jars on. So I have my coleus because I'm ready. I want to make sure I've preserved as much as I can with the cold nights coming, because I will just transition those into house plants. This is Bequito pepper. It's just a fun little pepper. I don't even know why I'm keeping it in here and taking up space, but it's pretty, and I don't know. Maybe I'll use it for charcuterie if I get enough peppers on it. There really are a lot of little peppers showing here. And here I have some spinach that it started a little late, a little spotty on the germination, so we'll see how much spinach I get. I may transplant those into the garden outside just to have that window box freed up, because I don't have a lot of window boxes. More cherry tomatoes here. But just a lot of really, really big tomatoes. These basils I started in August and transplanted them, and what a great thing to have out here. So I just come out and I snip, and I'm able to still cook with fresh basil right now, because the basil in the garden looks terrible. You can see my minimum maximum thermometer. tells me that we've been down to 41 in here, and right now it is 87. You can also see the top temperature is cooking temperature. Yes, indeed. I have my pots all stored. As I'm emptying them, I will continue to put them in there. There is a cucumber in the corner right here. And we'll see, this is totally experimental. The cold crops, I know you can do it. It's the hot crops. How long into the season? Is this just me wasting soil? It might be. I don't know. But we'll see if I get any cucumbers off of there. I've got a few little house plants tucked here and there. Succulents, I've got succulents everywhere. And some of them are going to come in, some of them are going to take their chances out here. Yeah, I've been taking and gathering up all of my houseplants. I'll be doing more of that today. And just to have a place to put them while I can think about where I'm going to put them in the house, that is an incredible thing to have. So I'll be putting more things in here. It used to be that I would just dump everything into the sunroom in the house, and then I'd have to have one very crowded, overwhelming room, and I'm glad to have a transition place for them. I have some soil in here, and I will be bringing more soil in so that, you know, when January comes around and I start doing more planting, I will have nice warm soil and not frozen soil in here, so that'll be great. So over here I have more seeds that I actually just planted, more lettuce, more broccoli, other cole crops, just to see how far into the season I could get. I really should have started them already, but hey, why not just give it a try, right? All right, so will it freeze in here? It will get to freezing temperatures eventually. The way it generally works here for me where I live is we've got pretty mild weather until we get into January, okay? And that's when the ground gets that, you know, really frozen solid feel outside, you know, like you're stepping on concrete. So in here, we had a very mild winter last year. We got to about 27 degrees, so that is definitely below freezing, but I think that that dip happened for a short period of time. I was taking on the sunshine during the day, and all the, you know, the stones on the floor were absorbing the heat. Every bit of bagged soil that I had stored under the benches was absorbing the heat. The pots were absorbing the heat, and then they would slowly release it overnight, right? And I think that that dip happens for such a short period of time that I had some great things overwintering. I had dichondra, I had petunias. It was pretty good. So we'll see how that goes this year. Now, do I have great hopes that I'm going to continue to have wonderful growth on my tomato plants? I can be real too, okay? I like to experiment, but I can also be real. I know it's not going to happen, but how far can I go? That is the question, and I'm willing to gamble on that to see how far I can go. And if you would like to know, go ahead and subscribe so you don't miss out on my updates. So if you enjoyed spending time with me and looking around in my greenhouse today, give me a thumbs up, and please do subscribe so you don't miss out on the next adventure in gardening. See you soon.